Hey, what's going on? What's happening, YouTube? Just wanted to share a couple thoughts and things I was thinking of right quick. I've been talking about reasons why I don't deal with religion, particularly biblical religion, anymore. Um, Main reasons I've mentioned so far have been that a lot of things in the Bible are based on older myths. Okay, but there's also other reasons why I don't. There's other reasons that kind of push me away from that type of religious arena, or in my case, a Hebrew Israelite religious arena, and that whole setting and environment, and that is the behavior or conduct of people who call themselves or attach themselves to those type of thoughts or groups, what have you. Main thing being, in my opinion, when you deal with the Bible, I think as black folks, and particularly in, like I was just saying, as far as the Hebrew Israelite, I think what happens is a lot of division and chaos happens because when we're in that type of a mindset, when we deal with the Bible as a literal life instruction booklet and we can't see past it, we can't see anything else, that tends to become a unrealistic moral standard for people. It becomes where people set these moral authoritative standards for themselves. People really can't separate from people outside of their belief system. What I mean by that is, you know, there's what you get as far as morality out of the Bible, but when you deal with things as far as atheism, as far as other beliefs outside the Bible, there really is no difference as far as the morality of what's good and what's bad and how to treat people. It's the rituals that people use as a moral authority, and this breeds hypocrisy, in my opinion. But I'll get into that in a minute. Another thing that I've been thinking about a little bit is just as far as black folks, Christianity or the Abrahamic faiths, Bible religion, Bible believing, in a lot of ways, I say has held us back from a lot of the progress we should have been making by now. Um, Reason being, well, actually, there's like four things I think have happened because of this. And when it comes to people who encourage, I'll just call it black nationalism or black independence, whatever you want to call it, pro black, whatever, this can put you at odds with people who deal with the Bible, unfortunately. And I think this can cause problems. Four reasons. First reason, when you deal with the Bible, you believe that God is going to fix everything. You believe that, see, what's happened is if you have a certain type of mindset where you deal with just what that book says only, can't see outside of that. You believe God is going to do everything, He's going to fix everything, He's going to get you where you need to be in this life or the next, whatever. What that's done to us as a people is, in my opinion, made us more complacent, and it has, held us back from thinking of our own means of accomplishing things for ourselves. And, you know, if you have the mindset that you don't have to do anything, that's going to affect how far you get as far as building, like if you want to build a nation, or if you want to have power, if you want to be in a situation where you have control of your own, destiny, community, whatever, okay, there's things you have to do, there's things you have to learn, and you have to actually take actions to make those changes yourself. And some people, they deal with the Bible and they still believe in that too, but it tends to, in a lot of cases, twist people's mind into thinking, well, I can sit back and let God do everything, I don't have to do nothing. Because I'm cursed, because this is just how it is right now, and God is actually the one making it this way, so why would I get in the way of that? That's the first thing. Second thing is some of the rhetoric in the Bible is political. You got stuff in there saying you have to be submissive to governments, to your master if you're a slave. We know the scriptures. A lot of those scriptures were used during slavery. All right. If that is your entire belief system as far as your entire life, that book alone, then you tend to walk by that. And people who choose to criticize the government or say things about the government that are wrong, some of these people will have a problem with that. Oh, well, you shouldn't talk about the government. You shouldn't talk. That's not what God said. Jesus said that you have to be submissive. Jesus is going to take care of everything. You don't talk about, this is what Jesus gave us, and we're supposed to just... This is the thing with that, all right? Because this is the second thing where I think this type of belief has affected us in a negative way, all right? It teaches you to accept the social condition of your status in this nation, in this society, no matter how bad it is, no matter how much oppression, no matter how much economic difference there is with black folks and other people. It doesn't matter how they abuse you. It doesn't matter how they treat you. If racism happens from time to time, well, that doesn't matter. We should be okay with it. And those of us that are not okay with it, some of these people will say you're being extremist, you're having there's something wrong, or you're going against God, and all these different things. And so you accept the way things are. But what's interesting about that is a lot of these same people have no reservations about criticizing their own people. But when it comes to the government, when it comes to the president, you can't talk about, that's who Jesus set up. You can't talk about our leaders. You can't talk about the government. Stop bringing up slavery. Take responsibility for yourself. You shouldn't bring that stuff up. Well, I understand when people talk about all that stuff, but the thing is, did it happen? When people bring up, well, this is what happened, this is the situation, that doesn't necessarily require people bringing up excuses and non-responsibility. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't bring it up. It doesn't mean we should cower and be afraid to say, look, this is wrong. What the government's doing is wrong. And it's okay to rebel against wrong. It's okay to say, I'm not going with the program. All right? But when it comes to believing the Bible and using it to elevate yourself above other people because you believe it and they don't, that becomes a weapon of division, whether you know it or not, and it causes problems, with our people, I believe. You know what I'm saying? That's just another thing. Now, the third thing is this type of mindset does this also. Now, let's say that we as black people actually could save ourselves or improve our situation. People say unite and build a nation. Let's say we could do that on some level, right? What if it was possible? If that happened, you got to understand, listen carefully. You got to understand what that would do to the Hebrew Abrahamic biblical faith. It's already said you're cursed, and you are not to look for blessings, wealth, power, whatever, unless you go through God and wait for Him to do it, and He's going to do it at an appointed time. Right? So, if we did figure out a way to do that ourselves, then that would be a reason to question in a lot of people's minds. Well, wait, what about what the Bible told us? It said this wasn't supposed to happen, and we were supposed to wait on Jesus, but we were able to do it ourselves. Now, this is another thing where, with me, I question, you already know I already question a lot of things about how the Bible was written, the reasons why it was written, and all that. But again, it tends to take people out of the mindset to do something for themselves with our people, in my opinion, you know. And that's just the way I look at it. So, you know, and then the last thing with that is, I think a lot of this, you know, when you see people having a problem with people that are pro-black or whatever you want to call it, yet they say they're Bible believers, God believers, and they encourage people to stay away from the black nationalistic mindset. One of the main reasons I think this is done, and I think it's done sort of on purpose, is because it covers up the real reason why they believe the Bible in the first place. Because if you really look at it, you know, why would you care if someone is saying, I want to build up my people? Why would you care if black people are saying, hey, you know, let's have something for ourselves? Why should that bother you? You know what I'm saying? But that actually bothers a lot of black folks. Now, how does the Bible factor into that? It's, in my opinion, I think that it gets around admitting how you got into the Bible in the first place. The reason, I've said this before, the reason why black folks even deal with the Bible at all is because we were told by this same system that these same people have so many problems with, as far as how they act, as far as racial equality, inequality, and all these different things. They're the ones that told you, read this book, believe this book, this is your God, you know, walk this way. Jesus is your Savior. We were given that mindset by an oppressive system. We were given all that by a people that sought to destroy us. And nobody can argue that. So when people are outside of a Bible belief, it's more comfortable to attack them. Oh, they're black nationalists, they're rebels, and all this type of thing. It's more comfortable to attack that than to deal with the true reason or the true origin of where you got that book in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So people don't want to deal with that. You know, I always say, nobody gave you that book from the clouds. No hand came down with a book and said, this is my word. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how you got the book, the Bible. That's not how you know, started dealing with the Most High. Okay? That's not who told you what a Most High is. You got it from a book given to you by your slave masters. Right? And that's why people care or are offended by pro-black, so-called militant mindsets, because it saves them embarrassment. Now, the hypocrisy. one of the reasons I told you, I got out of religion because of mythology and the real origins of the Bible and all that stuff. I talk a little bit about it. When I get time, I'll be able to get more. I'm busy where I can't really get too much into. I can't do lessons like I used to or videos like I once could right now. So I'm real busy, but I'm gonna put some more out when I get a minute. But one of the things I said is when you deal with biblical religion or people that have a mindset to follow the Abrahamic faiths, you know, they put themselves on a higher moral platform than everybody else. They turn up their nose at everybody else, and what they do is they form groups and they attack everybody else. Particularly, I'm speaking of Hebrew Israelites because that's where I came from, and this is 20 years of experience dealing with this. One of the things that I see is not progressive for us is how that's handled. Again, religion. What exactly are these people using for a moral criteria? You got to think about that. All right? Now, when you deal with the camps, a lot of the camps spend most of their time attacking other camps and attacking doctrines. Well, we teach this, they teach that. That means don't deal with them, don't talk to them, don't be around them because they teach different than our little group, our little club, our little clique. This is what they spend most of their time doing. And that's why every Hebrew Israelite group, like I said in past videos, they have an enemy group. And this is by design. It keeps us divided. Every group, I don't care who it is. I mean, whether it be ISUPK, everybody's got an enemy group. GMS, them two. GOCC, IUIC, Israel of God, NCCI. Everybody's got somebody they like to gossip about, talk about, make classes about, and this has become their moral criteria for why they're righteous. Why? Because if you take it out of ritual, when I say ritual, oh, that person, their women wear pants. Oh, those people got something on their head. Oh, those people celebrate birthdays. They're evil. They're wicked. They eat this. They're that. They do this on this certain day. This is what people are fighting about and having a problem with other people about. Ritual. But when you take it out of that, let's just imagine that these people decided, hey, you know what? Let's have a problem with people based on morals. If you notice, they're not really fighting about moral differences or moral evil. They are not getting on to people about, look, that person's committing adultery or lying or stealing unless they're outside of the little camp. That's the only time. What's wrong with this? What's hypocrisy about this? What's wrong with it is this is the problem with religious camps and being part of religion and making yourself a persona of a righteous person that's not real. It's a difference in being a moral person and showing you I'm a moral person or convincing you I'm a moral person. There's a difference. What's the difference? What they're doing. Now, when these people attack each other and usually it's because they're not part of the little clique. But this is what's crazy about all this. This is why I mentioned hypocrisy. And I was a part of it. I'm guilty. I'm not no different than nobody else because all of it is what? It's ego. Look at that brother, that brother in that camp, he's doing that. That's wicked. Us over here, we're better. Okay? Us over here, we're better. But this is what's so funny about that. Again, in my experience, let me tell you something. I've never seen Hebrew Israelites act or behave any different morally than any other religious group or atheist group. I don't see how they're any different than anybody else morally. Do you? Well, that brother over there, he's taking money from people. Uh, so are people in your group. You don't want to deal with that because that's your group. Well, they're stealing wives over there. He tried to take a brother's wife. They're wicked over there. So are you? They're, you know, they're lying about this. They're making up doctrine and twisting scriptures. So are you. The only real, the only real way to, that's why I say this religious stuff is in the way. You know what I'm saying? When you're religious, you look at the cliques, you look at who's part of my group, you look at your basis for being righteous is I know more about this religious scripture or this religious text than the next person. That is righteous to you. And that has nothing to do with righteous. That's why you have the same groups all doing the same immoral stuff. You talk about these people outside of the church. Oh, they're in the clubs. They're doing wicked stuff. I don't see no difference. You guys are doing the same thing. As far as I'm concerned, all y'all are the same. All of us are the same. This is what I realized. I am no different than I was before I was a Hebrew Israelite. I'm really the same person. I thought that, hey, I'm part of this group now. I went in some water and now I'm a different person. But was I? I realize now that I'm the same person really and have been the same person, but I was trying hard. I was the same person, but I was trying hard to portray a different person or a higher persona or a more righteous version of me, but the reality is I'm still me. And I think that's what a lot of us need to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's better than nobody else. I'm not better than nobody else. I'm not more righteous. I have flaws. I got issues, and so do you. And so does everybody else. You know? And it's just crazy to me because a lot of stuff people are, because someone's part of their religious group, they can't see that they're doing the same thing everybody else is doing because they blind themselves to a moral persona reality that doesn't actually exist. Now, this is what I want to say too, as far as a lot of our black leaders, as far as, you know, those that came in the past before us or whatever, and, you know, a lot of them dealt with the Bible or whatnot. But I noticed a vast difference between them and a lot of the Hebrew Israelite or religious people in general who say they're leaders, who say they're righteous or whatever. I notice a difference. I notice that when these people, whether it be Malcolm or Martin or whoever, they had their religions, but what they did was they were able to put their ritualistic beliefs to the side and be like, you know what can I do to help men, or what can I do to work with this guy so that we can make the situation for all of us black men to change for the better. They put that first. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does ritual have to do with how someone acts as a human, as a man, as a person? If you put that first and put that other stuff to the side and just work on that, you know, how people are dealing with each other, you know, if people are doing things to uplift or help each other, you don't need a religious book to do those things. And that's what makes it so crazy to attack people outside of the Bible, because when you really look at it, You can't attack an atheist or a non-Bible believer morally. You can't attack them on a moral standard because the moral standards would pretty much be the same. The only difference is the rituals. Those are the reasons you think you're better than an atheist or a conscious person or a pro-black person or whatever, is ritual in a book that your slave master gave you that you can't confirm. So these are things that I just been thinking about, and I think that these are things people should look at, because it's like, when you look at, oh well, what are these people, they're so offended when you talk about the Bible in the way I'm talking about it, but it's nothing, that's just me, like, why are these rituals so important to you where you feel like you have to have a problem with me? I'm not. That's why I say you would have never seen Malcolm and Martin and them tear each other down, like doing classes, gossiping and trying to say, hey, look, this guy is an evil person, stay away from him. They don't teach like us. They don't do so. Don't deal with them. You would have never seen them do that, because what was more important to them is how we're going to do better collectively as a people, not what we're doing doctrinally. That's all. So, they didn't just show, they weren't interested in, I know more about the Bible than this other person, therefore you should only deal with me. They didn't have that kind of mindset, because where does that get you in the end? And it's like, the whole nation thing. Why should anybody have a problem with black people wanting to have a nation? You got people, God said, well, God didn't say we have to make a nation. God's going to come do that. Jesus didn't say we have to build a nation. I mean, everybody else got nations. And then I don't get that. Why should you? If that's what somebody wants to do, why should you care? It's sort of like, somebody might be like, well, the Christians, people attacking Christians, they shouldn't do. Look at all the good things Christians have done. Look what all the Christian missionaries did for Africa. They've done more than the conscious community. They done a lot of good things for black folks. This is what religion does to your mind. You see, it puts you in allegiance with a system of oppression. It puts you in allegiance with the people that perpetrated that philosophy in the first place. You can't break away from it because you feel like you're breaking away from the Bible. But if you really look at it, and the people that gave you the Bible, like I said before, first, you can't compare what black people do to what white established religions do, because they're powerful and rich. Let's think. Why are the Christian churches able to go help people all over the world? Let's see. I know. Because of slavery. Because of colonization. Right? They don't think about that. And let's see, why are the Africans starving in the first place, where people are trying to help them? And why should I be happy about what Christianity does today? I should be happy about Christians, established Christian churches going to Africa and giving them bologna sandwiches, when those missionaries are the reason those Africans are starving in the first place. Because you do know that the people that finance the missionaries are the same ones that finance the conquerors. They were working together. So they're the reason why they're in that condition. But you want me to be happy about... See, this is the kind of mindset we have, and the kind of slave mentality we've gotten through religion. And it's kind of crazy, because it's like, if it was up to me, you know, I wouldn't have no missionaries going to Africa, um, because that's how Africa got that way. So again, you can't take history out of the equation. You can't take the system, the government out of the equation, and just stick with the Bible, because the Bible is a part of that very same history system. It's all connected, and it all affected us in a negative way. You know, if you if you use it that way, if you use it where you put that before your own people, like a lot of us are doing with the doctrine and all that, then it can become a problem. You know, I don't know. That's just what I was thinking about. It's like, I don't know what y'all think, but you know, that's why I had to get off this ride, man. It's like it's deeper. It's more to who we are and what we are and why we're here than a religious text or a religious book. It's deeper than that, man. It's more to it than that. You know, that's all. So I'm just saying we got to be careful of limiting ourselves, because really, to me, when we limit ourselves, we don't know what our true possibilities are and our true capabilities are. To me, nothing's impossible. And I wish more of us, you know, would have that mindset, because maybe we could get something done if we did. You know? I don't know. All right, so that's all I was talking about. So, I think peace. See y'all later.